Good morning and welcome to this webinar. For those of you who don't know me, I am Michelle van Dijk and I'm part of the sales and marketing team here at Nimbus. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat during the webinar, so please feel free to drop your questions in as we go. I will make sure to address them at the end of the presentation. So today we're super excited to introduce a brand new product called Invoice Register, and with us we have a special guest joining us to tell you all about it. I'd like to introduce Bampat Utupan, team leader of our production team. Bampat, take it away.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for the introduction. And good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Invoice Register. My name is Bampat Utupan. I am a production team lead at Nimbus Software. I have worked with Nimbus since 2016. For those who have joined Nimbus client forums before, we would have met, and I'm looking forward to meeting everyone at the upcoming customer forum. So let's look at today's objective of what we are trying to achieve. Today, I will try to give you the test of how the Invoice Register will help your organization to manage the invoice digitally. You will see how the Invoice Register streamlines the invoice process. You will learn that within the Invoice Register, there's the workflow that will assist you to manage the invoice from the start to the end. Also, you will see the benefit of having this Invoice Register in the system because it's going to be part of your Nimbus ecosystem, which means you will have the better and accurate information within your system there. Let's look at the agenda of what's going to happen during this webinar. We're going to quickly talk about the challenges we face when it comes to the invoice management. And then we'll see how the Invoice Register is the solution for that then. You will see the summary of what the Invoice Register does, just to confirm that it will do the job and it is the solution. During this session as well, we're gonna demo. We're gonna do a live demonstration where you will see the work from uploading the invoice, preparing the invoice for the approver, and then how the approvers in the process approve the invoice. And then how do you posting the information back to Nimbus there? And later on, as Michelle mentioned before, we have a session of question and answer. Here we are. The first one we should talk about is the challenges that everybody faces when it comes to invoice management. It's often very hard to know where an invoice is in the process and who is having the invoice at that moment and doing work to it. Second one is going to be the manual process. Some of the team track the invoice by the spreadsheet. Some of the teams try to use the emails to track the process, but that is very easily prone to the errors, duplication, or even delays. The data risk is another area. The invoice often end up in a shared drive somewhere, and then you have to manage the security and management around those documents. And if you don't do it well, then all of a sudden, people that are not supposed to see the information are able to see them. The next one is going to be about the slow approvals. The suppliers could have chased up for the payment of the invoice already, then it's going to be very difficult for you to see the whole picture of where it is in order for you to give the answer to your supplier. And the last one is about no visibility of audit record. Sometimes problems happen during the process. You just want to review and see what has gone wrong, and then you can do better the next time. But without a good audit record, it's very difficult to identify what you could change and make a better process. And that is exactly where the Invoice Register gonna help you. It will provide you of a one central, reliable, and single source of truth. Let's see how the Invoice Register is the solution. Invoice Register allows you to handle the invoice from upload to posting in one single workflow. We will talk deeper about the workflow very soon. It accepts many types of the invoice and the credit note as well. And the types of the invoice that we are talking could be about the overhead invoice, job-related invoice, or some of the invoices. They are mixed between them. And it's fast and easy as well to work with Invoice Register. For example, to upload the invoice, you just drag and drop, and that's it. It got registered. And it allows you then to link the invoices to all of the information into in your Nimbus system, purchase order, jobs GL account. And then another good thing is going to be you can view the invoice at any stage, at any time. We're going to see the dashboard to help manage that very soon. It maintains the complete audit history. Then you will see the list of who did what to the invoice at what time. And most important of all, it is integrate seamlessly with your Nimbus system, connecting all the information at the real time. Then you take the benefit of your existing data to help you to make a decision. In short term, it gives you and your team the confidence that everyone will see the same accurate information in one place. And it will help you to make quicker decisions so you can free yourself out and have more time to deal with things that matters to you in other areas there. Here we are. We are about to get into the demonstration, but I just want to mention here as well about Invoice Register and NimbuScan. You might wonder that how Invoice Register compares to NimbuScan. NimbuScan is our advanced invoice management tool that Nimbus offer as well, but they are not the same. So you think of the Invoice Register as a simplified version of NimbuScan. It focuses on essentials, keeping everything clear and efficient. But if during today's session, you feel like your organization needs more than what you can see from the demonstration today in the area of you need more advanced automation or customizations, that might be the indicator that NimbuScan could be a better fit for your organization. So please keep that in mind as well. Here we are. Let's get in to see how Invoice Register works in action. Yep. First of all, I just want to explain about the nature of the invoice and how Invoice Register will work with the invoice that come into system a bit. The Invoice Register organizes the invoices into 3 groups, and each group will have their own workflow to manage. Group 1 is the overhead invoice. Group 2 is the mixed invoices. Group 3 is the jobs-only invoices. Very simple. For example, on the screen here, we have got 3 items on the invoice. If all of these items are not costed to the jobs at all, it will fall under the overhead workflow. If 1 or 2 of the items in this invoice are costed to the job, then it will fall under the mixed workflow. And the last situation, if all of these items on the invoice here are costed to job or jobs, then it will fall under jobs workflow. The important is that the invoice register will identify what workflow it needs to follow. And in each workflow, you are allowed to set up the approvers for those type of the workflows. By default, there are 2 people involved in each workflow, and then you just set the limit of the person 1 and person 2. For example, person 1 could be able to approve the invoice up to $200. And if it's more than $200, then it goes to approver number 2. But if you prefer, you can have just one single workflow to work with different type of the invoice as well, if that's what you prefer in the organization. And that is roughly about the invoice and the workflow, which is the core function that Invoice Register will kind of follow. Now I'll show you, here we are, we're going to do the live workflow. Usually, you would land on this page here, and think of this page as a central hub, where it gives you a snapshot of all the information about your invoices at the moment, the new ones, the pending ones, the approval ones, or the ones that already get approved. It also shows you as well, as you can see on the tiles here, of the ones that are in trouble. And if anything in trouble, you can see it in red. And as you can see that there are 8 tiles there. Each tile, we have the information of how many invoices in that area and what is the total value of the invoice in that area as well. Here we are. And on the left menu as well, you will see that there's the menu called Invoice Register. And as our normal Nimbus system, we allow you to access each of the menu there in order for you to see the reports or the record of the invoices easily. Yep. So that's what you see is the landing page, and now you're ready to work with your invoice. The first one we're going to do is to upload the invoice, which is very simple. There are many ways to upload the invoice, but today we're going to focus on this link that is called All Invoices. Let me just click that one. This report here gives you everything at all about all the invoices in your system. So basically, you click on the Add button here, and you are allowed to select the invoice from any location and upload into the invoice register. But in this situation, I will try to drag and drop the invoice. Just bear with me a bit. Here we are. So I will drag the invoice from my local machine. Here we are, and just do it here. As you can see, the invoice register is about to accept the invoice. You just drop it here. And that's it. Everything about uploading the invoice. It will pop up this screen straight away, ready for you to fill in the information that the invoice is needed for you. At this point, the invoice is registered into the system. So if you prefer, you can continue working with this invoice. But if you have something else to attend to, then it is already registered. You can come back with it later. I will just click out of the screen and pretend that, yep, I'll come back to this invoice later. Here we are. And yep, typically, then you come back to the screen again after some times. The invoice that you just upload is gone under unprocessed invoice because you haven't done anything to it yet. So you can see it from the screen here, and you can just click open. And you will see the latest invoice there as number 27. And then if we click there, it will be that invoice that we upload. If you want to work with it, then you just double click there. Then you saw the screen that you saw before, ready for you to work. So this is one way to access the invoice, but I just want to link back to that link again, that you can do that through the all invoice as well. Here we are. As I said to you before, this is a very important report in Invoice Register. You will see that it's up at the top. Then you can from here double click as well. And then you will see this invoice here. Let me just explain that report a bit more. As you can see that the latest one that we just uploaded, we have no information at all because we haven't done anything to them. But below there, you will see different invoices, and some of them already a lot of things happening, some of them still empty. And there's the color as well to indicate to you of what invoice. For example, the rejected one is red. So you might want to review and delete it out from the system. The submitted one, you can see the date that it happened. Submitted a week already, but nobody seemed to work with them. Then you can double click here, open and check, and then try to chase up here and there. This report is very useful. So let's pretend that we double click that one because we want to work on that one. Here we are. At this point, you would want to prepare your invoice for somebody to approve it. And what you need to do is to prepare the information to the right screen here, and also to cost the items in this invoice to the jobs or whatever you prefer to do with it. Let's try to do that with this invoice easily. The column on the left is the columns on the right hand there are very kind of easy to understand. It's just the information about the invoice. For example, who is the creditor for this one? So it's KP. You can just type it in. Let's say, I think the invoice is from KP Johnson. So if we go there, KP, it will filter down there. Then you select the creditor. The invoice date is the 12th. So just click it there. The due date is the due date day to pay the invoice, but it's not compulsory. You can leave it blank. This one is very important, or the number. If you already use the Nimbus purchase order app and you created the purchase order for this invoice, it will be available. So you just click there, open the list, and you will see the invoice, the PO that you opened before, ready for you to select. But if you didn't open the purchase order for this invoice, or your company doesn't use Nimbus purchase order app at all, no problem at all. You just select the new order here, and the new purchase order record will be generated in Nimbus System automatically. You don't have to do anything at all. But in order to generate the new record of the purchase order, Nimbus System requires the order type and who want to generate this record. That is for data integrity. Let's pretend I will show you both situations, because if the invoice got the purchase order, the costing area will be a bit different from the one that you just tick new order here. But in the meantime, let's pretend that this is the new order. So we're gonna select the order type. The order type is the setup in your system. It will pop here if you have different types of the order. But in this case, let's say that this is exactly to go to the job. And then who want to open this? Sometimes you might want to know who ordered these items in here. In this case, let's say I myself want to order that. And then you want to put in the total number. which is 1408.75, and then the GST of 183.75. Yep, sorry, I put it wrong, 183.75. I think we're gonna have a problem a bit. Let me clear the data. So the tax is gonna be 183.75. The total is gonna be 1048.75. Here we are, we got the correct number. Because the system will try to calculate to help you as well to be sure the number is correct. And that's why you got me, you got to see me that, hey, actually, you can't just change that before this one here and there. So you have to go in the right order there. Just put in the correct number of the invoice, 001485. Here we are. You are allowed to put some of the note in, but most of the time there should be no note because this is only filling up the information. Here we are, done. That is the information about the invoice. The next thing you would want to do is to cost the items from this invoice into your Nimbus system. And that's what we call costing. So to do that, then you're just gonna select show cost allocation down below here. But just a sec. During this process that you are entering the information, as you can see, there's a save button at the top. If you kind of started to put in the information here, but then you had to attend to something else, you can just click save and then go attend to something else. By the time you come back to that invoice, it will remember or register the information up to the point that you did before. And we recommend you do that as well, because for the data integrity, there's an active session beneath the invoice register when you work with it. If you've gone idle for a while, the system will try to cut off the session and you might lose the information that you want. So click save is always a good idea to do. For example, I click save now. Yep. Here we are. I mentioned to you before that the costing screen will look different between new order and the one that have the purchase order. So now I'm gonna click this one to show you in the new order what happened at the costing screen. There we are. By the way, because of there are three things happening on the screen, you always have this sliding panel for you to expand or make it smaller, because some of the time you might need this area a bit more information, that area a bit less information. And with the invoice as well, you can see that up the top there, you have the option of how to make the invoice area there to be, for example, at the moment, fit to the width, but I can just say, I just want to see it original size of it. There we are. So you might wonder, oh, just a sec, but now I want to work down below and I want to see more of the costing grid rather than the invoice itself. So that's what you do. You can just adjust the area to fit your need there. Okay, enough of that. Here we are. When you want to create a new order and you open the costing area, the costing area will be empty. So what you need to do is to click add and it will open a line for you. Then you have to select the stock code to fill up the information. You can see some of the information already down below. For example, the description seems to be pipe 32. So you might try to look at the item in your system. Or if that item there is not in the stock item at all, I think we have the NBI code to deal with that there. So that's the special code. When the items are not yet in your stock, you are allowed to use that NBI, and then you just put the information of the description to match that of the invoice type is dash 32 mm. The next thing to do is, this is what I said before, to identify is this item going to be charged to the job or not. If you want to charge it to the job, any job in your system will be available here. If you don't want to charge to the job, you can leave it blank, and that will identify that item as the overhead item. But in this situation, let's say we want to go to this job here. And then the next question is going to be how many quantity that you receive. So we're going to put 10. The actual cost is 50. Here we are. And then you have to, now the job sale price coming in straight away. So this is what I said before, that your information in Nimbus System will link into Invoice Register straight away. So it means that in your setup, in your system, you must have set that anytime the NBI code is used, I want to add the percentage to the actual cost of the product in order for you to kind of cost the item correctly. But the good thing is, in this situation, we receive it at 50. The system already got the setup and calculate and say, yep, for the 50, you should charge 62.50. But actually, you can override, and if you feel like you want to charge only 50, it's up to you, but you can even charge up to 100 there. No problem at all. You tap it off. And then you just go along with all the columns there that you can put the note in. Anytime you open each row, either by click add or double click, any columns that you can edit will be looking just like that. Any columns that are not in that way, you can't edit them. And when you finish, you just tap off. You just enter, sorry. So that's done for line number 1. And then you can do line number 2, line number 3, the same as what we just did before. And by the time you finish that, your total amount, here we are, for example, your actual cost here should be the same as the total number there. And also you have got the tax amount here that should exactly the same as the one at the top there. So by that point then, you would be able to click submit in order for this invoice to go to the approver. But can I point out as well that up there, you already see the warning sign of the item. And that's the system is trying to indicate to you that, okay, you enter one line, but at the moment it's not ready. Because as you hover, and you can see that it's quite small, I'll read it out for you. The cost allocation doesn't match the goods total. So now it will try to help you that, yep, you have more lines to enter, you're not ready yet. And if everything is good and ready, you will see this in just everything is clear. And that's how you do the costing in this area. And that is done when it is the new order. Now, I'll delete this line for us to be able to demo the situation that this invoice actually has the purchase order along with it. What happened at the costing section? I'll do this line here. Oh, sorry. Enter. Highlight the row and then click delete. Are you sure you want to delete? Yes. Because we haven't saved it yet, we haven't submitted yet, we are allowed to delete. So I'm gonna untick this one. So get rid of that costing for a sec. Untick this one now. And let's pretend that there is the order of that one to come in. So when you select that one there will be the odd, here, let me just go back a bit. You have two options here. For example, at the moment, we already identified the creditor Johnson. So when you select the order, the system is very clever, already look for the order under Johnson for you. Yep, so let's pretend that we're gonna take maybe this order. Oh, just a sec. Here we are, 2075. Let me select that one again. Here we are. This is another point that I told you before. The invoice register will assist you if there will be a potential problem. For example, it tells you that this purchase order that we are about to select at the moment already used by other people, and you can't use them. But then you might ask why? If it's already been used, then why is it here? Because it has been used by the previous invoice that are still in invoice register. That invoice hasn't been posted yet, because if it got posted, the system would have completed the purchase order. But at the moment, what it means is that there is the invoice in this invoice register that already used this order number. Just to warn you that one. But in this situation, we might here we are, we might not be able to use that one correctly. Let me just upload another invoice that I can show you properly about this situation. Just a sec, please. Here we are. We're gonna discuss everything, so that's good. What I'm gonna do is to upload. Bear with me for a moment. Here we are. I cannot upload another invoice in. Oops. There we are. So this is another invoice that has the purchase order. So basically the same thing, we just do hire. So that's the creditor. The invoice date is the 13. And then the due date, we don't have that information. The order number. So this one got the purchase order for it. And then it's not the new order. So you don't have to tick that one. The total of the invoice 6,900. And the GST is 900. Yep. And invoice number is AD 123456. There we are. So now we are ready to show the costing area. Yep. So this is the good things about having the purchase order before. Invoice register look at that purchase order and bring in the lines in the purchase order into the costing area here. Get it ready for you to fill in the information. So you don't have to type in every single thing yourself. It's ready there. So basically what you just need to do is just to confirm and type in the information that it needs. For example, this one, NBI, the job is correct. And then we can just double click to open the line for us to edit some stuff. Anything at all? Yes. Or the one we receive one. But the problem is when we open the purchase order, we thought it's going to be 5,000, but when we receive it, it's actually 6,000. So you might have to talk to them of why this is happening. But actually, after you know the reason and you're happy with it, you can actually put in 6,000 here and tap to the next column. And I told you before, there's the markup on this item. So now we're going to cost this item to the job at the price of 9,000. But then again, it could be a problem because you thought you're going to get that for 5,000 and you might agree to the job already that it's going to be only certain amount. Now that you had it at a higher price, so you might have to take care of the difference, or you can pass this to the job. I'm not sure, but if you want to take in that cost yourself, you can make the price a bit down below in order to do that. Here we are. and click enter. Yep. So basically, this invoice, as you can see, nothing warning at the top. Everything is good here. If we look at the total number, which is expected cost, and actual cost that we receive is 6,000. And then you scroll to the right, you will see that the tax is 9,000. So the information about the costing and the invoice register match. In this case, you can click submit straight away, and it will go to the next person to approve. But in this setup, there was one person before me that can approve $500, and I can approve more than $500. So in this situation, this invoice will be auto approved. Here we are. And now we have to talk about what happened when you click submit. I will try to go slow and hopefully I can make you to understand. When you click submit button, the invoice register will try to work out the workflow first. And then out of that workflow, it will identify who would be the approver. And when we know the approvers, there could be one or two in that workflow, it will look at the limit that that person can approve against the total value of the invoice, and then it will send it out to the right person. For example, not on the screen, but this is an example. Let's say that Jane come to do this action, and the invoice is $100. She finished all the information, finished the costing, and then she clicks submit. Jane is not the approver at all. So what's going to happen then? The system will look for someone who would have the authority to do this work. It turned out that Jack and John are the approvers in that workflow. Jack can approve up to 100. More than that, it has to be John. Since the invoice is $100, then it will go to Jack right away. Oh, it will go to Jack for $100. But if either Jack or John are the one entering that invoice, actually that invoice with a value of $100 will be automatically approved because Jack can do 100, John can do more than 100. But Jack is entering and click the button. The system knows and clever enough to know, yep, you are the approver as well. You have the limit of 100 and the invoice is 100. Then I'm happy to auto approve for you. And there it goes. Yep. So that is the logic around the submit button that is going to work things out for you and make it easier for us. Here we are. Up to this point then, the invoice is ready for the approvers in the system to work. If you were to be the approvers in this invoice register at all, what you usually come to and work with is going to be this link, approval queue. Let's click. I told you before that I am the approver in the workflows in this system. When I click here, there are two invoices waiting for me to approve. So let's look at the first one. You double click and you will see the screen that is quite similar to what we did before. We can expand and then we can review the item. Here we are, and we can have a look. For example, you can check the job number, the invoice number on the right hand here and there, how the costing is done. Are you happy with them at all? At this point, there are some areas where the approver can do some change and just approve it. But there are other areas where you can't do it. You're going to have to reject it and then it needs to be looked at. The area where you can't change at all is the information about the invoice itself, because that's to protect the integrity, to be sure that nobody manipulate the information of the invoice. What is that? At the later point, it needs second people to have a look. But what you can change is the costing area. If you double click, just like you see before, you could be able to change the job that this item will go to. You can change the price. For example, the first person might feel like, oh, I followed the rule in the system. Automatically, it turned into 4.08. But you might feel like, with this economy, we might need that to be $10. Then you can just change it to $10 there at the costing. You enter. Then it will update at that point. And if you are happy with this one, make sure that you just click approve here, and it will disappear from the screen. And if you have the comment, you just put the comment in. You can leave it blank. It's just like I have checked it and change the sales price. Yep. So just the note, because anytime you do anything at all, you put the note in to be sure if it need to be reviewed, or if the invoice, if the cost of the job got disputed, then you can come back here and have that information. There you go, it's gone. Then you work on the second one again. Look at this one. Here we are. Yep, this one I already identified. I'm not sure if you can see it. The invoice is 001485. That's the number. But the person who entered the number seemed to put in 001485K4. So something is wrong, and I can't edit it because that's information about the invoice. What you need to do then, or even if you find something wrong down below, in this situation, you need to reject it, and you just click reject. It asks you again of what is the reason. Yep, the invoice number is wrong. Yep, and then you click OK. That's it. If you are the approvers in any workflow at all, that's the area you take care of your work. The invoice itself, just go to other people to do the jobs. So I just want to point out, I reject one invoice, we will go have a look, and I approve the other invoice, we'll go to have a look at that one as well. So what we do is to go back to dashboard. There, under the reject invoice, we can see that there are 3 of them. Yep, and it looks like they are the ones that are rejected. It looks like I'm very bad. Reject a lot of invoices here. But I think the one that we reject, let's select any of them there. Could be this one. A sec, please. There we are. So this is the one that I just rejected just now. When we open, we come back here, everything opening for the edit. But the good thing is that it got the note back there as well. The invoice number is wrong. Well, just a sec, I want to see more detail. You will have this kind of things to tell you who did what with this invoice. And this is where I said to you before that it keeps tracks on every single step. For example, this one, you see that Kumo was the one who entered the data, and then he submit the invoice, and then I'm the one who rejected it because of the note is there. And then it just, what is the latest comment of each one? Here we are. So what you do then, you can just correct the information there and submit again, resubmit again. But if I click now, it's gonna be auto approved because this is good things. If the one that have the high authority come and check, actually you can fix it and it's gone to the end right away. It doesn't have to go through many people just to bother them because we already know exactly what is wrong. So let's pretend that in this one, submit, and then I just click resubmit. Yep. Again, it just gives you the idea of NimbuScan already have this invoice with this number in the system. I don't think that is going to be done in this way. You have to confirm that you are okay, that you're going to have another invoice and this invoice, and they are the same invoice. So in this case, I'm going to just have to click OK. And then currently has one invoice. I'm going to just say no. And no out of that, because then I have to be careful. Somebody already do this copy of the invoice, and now I'm working on the same copy. Then you have to kind of go and check on the all invoice report. I think if we go to the all invoice report there, yep, everything is here. You can kind of looking at this one, for example, and see what the invoice number that is the same. You can filter, you can check it, but this is the area where you're going to come and do that checking. Here we are. So now we look at the invoice that we rejected. Now let's look at the invoice that actually we approved. So you go back to the dashboard again. There you are, approved to post. There are two invoices. Yep. So this is the cool part of the invoice register. So far, the information about the invoice are self-maintained in the invoice register. But at this time, at this report, at this point, we would want to post all the information of what we have done so far into Nimbus System. So by clicking post all the valid invoices here, the data in Nimbus System will get updated. It's about the invoices itself, it's about the jobs, it's about the costing. The PO will update itself if the PO already been used here. And everything at all in Nimbus System that need to be updated, it will happen at this point. So we will select this option. It will tell you there are two sections to be posted. Are you happy? Yes. Everything is successful. Done. And when you go back to the dashboard and we will reload now, you see that we have nothing to post, and the number of the posted invoice then increase here and there. Yep. So that's the end from uploading the invoice until posting. One of the things I want to mention is we don't have enough time to discuss the potential issues or the potential reject or deny or resubmit. So we don't have enough time to go through all those scenarios. But I just want to assure you that there's the process in place, and most of the time it happens automatically. I'll show you the diagram. Here we are. Just to give you the confidence, I'll make this a bit more. Oops, here we are. As you see, we have seen the invoice got uploaded into the system. It is at the unprocessed. We prepare the invoice, we fill in the information, you click submit, and then it's gone to approval 1, approval 2, or sometimes it's automatically approved. Then it's approved to post, then you post, then everything's successful. But as I said to you before, at each point here, things could happen. But as you can see in the diagram, the system will work along this logic, and then there will be somebody, or it will appear within the system to get somebody to look at them, and the invoice can go to the last to post very easily. Here we are. Let me move that out. And that brings us the full circle from uploading from uploading and entering the invoice of the information to costing to approval and posting. The invoice register is designed to make the invoice management easier, faster, and most important at all, more transparent for anyone, regardless of your experience. Invoice Register guides you every single step, keeping everything secure, visible, and traceable with your organization. I think at this point, it is time to open the floor for any questions at all. Let me just go back to that one there. Yep.
Thank you. Thanks, Bampart. We have one question. I think we need to try and wrap things up. We have gone over time slightly, so apologies about that. So let me just quickly read this question. Can you have it set up that if the order is at received status, there is no further approvals required?
I think that option would need some work to be on a bit to be sure, because that is about the data in Nimbus System already and the data in Invoice Register. I don't think it's beyond what we can do. So can I have that question sent to me, please? I can check that and email back.
We'll get back to them. No problem. I can see someone else is trying to type another question. I also had another question from a client who would like to know, where does the documents get stored?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. Your document is saved within the Nimbus folder. You know for sure that when Nimbus install anything at all on your server, there would be our own folder there. So the document within the invoice register are in that area. So basically, you got the security of that folder being secure enough, because Nimbus protect our own folders in your system. Then it will be in that place. Yep.
Okay, and then just one more question. Can you email invoices into Invoice Register?
As I mentioned before, we have two solutions, Invoice Register and NimbuScan. At this point, we try to make the Invoice Register to be a minimum. So if you have a need for the invoice to be emailed in here and there, I would recommend you talk to the sales and marketing, because to have the email in, it means it will involve you to set up certain logic of the emails. And if you want to do that, then you might want to use the benefit of setting up the email, not only for the invoice to come in, but then to be able to send the automatic notification or email to the approvals here and there, or to send out the emails when certain works need your attention. And that's why we have another solution of NimbuScan that actually dealt with that very, very well. But then again, if your requirement is only about the invoice coming in, please talk to sales and marketing and see if you should enhance this version or you should take NimbuScan copy instead. Yep.
Cool, perfect. I think that's all the questions for today, Bampart. If any of you have any other questions, you're welcome to email them through to either me or Daryl. And just as a reminder, I will post this webinar on our YouTube channel and social media platforms. We'll also send out an email if you wanted to rewatch it afterwards or share with your team. And I thought I'll just do a quick reminder that our client forum is coming up on the 13th of November, and we'd love for you to join us. So if you haven't booked your spot yet, please do so today. So that's it from me. Thanks, Bampart.
Yep. And thank you everyone for joining today's session. I hope you have seen how Invoice Register will help you in your organization. And I'm looking forward to see you as well at the customer forum I think it's next month, November. Yes. Thank you very much.